Hey everyone, this video is going to be quick and light as I have a ton of projects I'm currently working on, and if you're not interested in hearing what the purpose of this video is and the updates, there are time codes. Other than that, here are the updates and what this is. Basically, I have some really large projects I'm currently working on. I've been filming a video on supporting small businesses and literacy during the pandemic. Saga is coming back as a purely historical series and is currently in its research phases. I'm also planning videos on Japan's contribution to World War II and their problematic treatment of their history, i.e. sweeping it under the goddamn rug and acting like they totally didn't rape and kill thousands of Okinawas and citizens of Nanking. I'm also considering doing a video on the history of Florence in the Renaissance era thanks to the manga art, and making monthly book videos covering what I read during the previous month due to having access to my library's digital network and consuming a shit ton of books lately. I have a major anime project in the works, a video for my love on Animal Crossing. I intend to cover Kitchen Confidential and Pet Cemetery at some point. I am trying to find the right words for a piece on Sweet Home receiving a live action Netflix adaptation. So yeah, you're basically getting a ton of stuff that I really needed to step away and dedicate time to make and research, because although the weekly uploads were very rewarding and I would like to continue to upload weekly, the result of being so unprepared for that was having my work and creative process suffer. So I had to take a step back from editing and work on the bit stuff before I came back to uploading weekly. Also, during this time, I've been recruited by editor Nick to become a regular contributor to his new blog. I'll be writing articles on games and whatnot over there, so if you want to check it out and support editor Nick, then I'll be leaving links down below. My first article is already up on that site and I am currently working on more for him. So please, if you like anything that Nick does, please head over to his blog or to his channel. With that being said, this is basically just a filler video. I really wanted to upload this month without dropping off the face of the earth and was itching to make something quick in between of research and scripting. So this video is just filler content consisting of filler media that won't be making it into future videos, like the reading list or something that I've already talked about. Not an unproducible, nor do I technically feel like this is a ramble nor a bite size. This is literally just a filler episode, and today I wanted to talk about media that won't be making it into said reading list and that I've already talked about. I want to begin with a book I finished last month called The German House, and I fucking hated it. I don't talk about media that I don't like on this channel for a reason, but every once in a while something will slip through the cracks. This is by far the worst book I've read this year. Though not awful, I still didn't find it good. This is a German historic fiction novel about the Frankfurt Auschwitz trial. The story follows a young woman named Ava who is engaged to a wealthy businessman named Jorgen, who is also a former priest. Ava works as a Polish translator but will become a housewife once married to Jorgen. However, she and her skills are seeked out as the trials are set to begin. Though she doesn't remember the Second World War, she feels some sort of obligation to it. After much fighting with herself, her family, and fiance, she takes the job. Now, the best part of this book are definitely the trials. I wouldn't consider myself a fan of court dramas, which this book isn't, but we'll get into that. The only court drama I truly enjoy is To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't have an opinion on the book. I was forced to read it in middle school and hated it because of that. Don't force your kids to read, people. They'll just fucking hate reading. Before listening to this book, I honestly didn't know what these trials were. However, it's been less than a month since my completion of the book, and I honestly can't remember many of the victims' words. I can recall some of the horrors they went through, but not the emotion from it, and that's largely because the trials feel like an afterthought. The main focus of the novel is on Ava and her struggles with her family and her relationship, and spoiler alert, the characters in this book are pretty awful. It feels as though Ava is a character that desperately tries to be fleshed out and fully realized, but falls flat on her face. Jorgen is the worst character in this book, and his relationship with Ava was what made me gag and want to vomit in the first half of it. Their relationship is no short of toxic and manipulative, as Jorgen constantly tries to control her as a former priest. He wants Ava to be submissive and serve him, and Ava, although she was willing to do this, she begins to reconsider, but Jorgen still won't allow her to be her own fucking person. See what I'm getting at here? I wanted to drop this book for how much I hated this relationship alone, but kept going because I wanted to see her leave him and become a better fucking character. Ava's parents get some time in the book, but there's really nothing special to comment on. On a grid, Ava's sister was what carried the book for me in the beginning. She's very sharp and unforgiving, a woman who sleeps with married men, a character with a lot of baggage and a secret that isn't hard to figure out, but even she fails me in the end. By far the best character in this book was David Miller, a character who's helping lead the trials, and he also has his own affairs and demons, but once again, he fails me as well. Okay, so I'm gonna spoil this book book because I really don't recommend it to anyone, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead. In the end of the book, Ava realizes how much of a controlling piece of shit Jorgen is and calls off the engagement. She drops out of the trials because she discovers her parents served the Nazi army, her father was a cook by the way, and her mother works with him. She moves out of her parents because she can't forgive them after what she learned in the trial. Time passes and she continues her work as a translator. She decides to contact Jorgen, and the book ends with them deciding to give their shit fucking relationship another fucking try, so imagine my fucking excitement. David Miller has a breakdown after the trials and seeing Auschwitz and disappears, never to be heard of again. And then there's fucking Annegrid, who was caught poisoning babies due to her own mental issues by the married doctor she was sleeping with and called a pig in pure hatred. And this is a man who left his family and divorced his wife for her. She begs him not to tell anyone what she did, and she didn't mean for the infants to die. She only wanted to nurse them back to health, and she would even marry and live with the man she hates. In the end, they do get together, marry, have a son, and this book treats all of it like a happy fucking ending. Yeah, I really don't recommend this book. Not only did I find it blander than dish soap, I found it shallow. This is supposed to be some kind of coming of age story, but there isn't a single likable or fully realized character here. Ava's development is pretty cruddy. I feel like the author wanted her to be blinded by love, but I really didn't buy it. She even gets slapped by Jorgen at one point, and that still wasn't the breaking point of their relationship. Her climax is basically her getting angry and then running away from her parents as she cannot forgive them. Her coming back to Jorgen at the end of the book proved to me that there was no change at all from the beginning to the end. She ends the book exactly the same way as she began it, and anger does not prove any sort of development. You can use rage as a really fucking good turning point for a character, but Ava just doesn't. She doesn't change, she doesn't grow, she doesn't do anything. And once again, the book treats all of it like a happy fucking ending. I literally screamed at this book when I finished it and was more than happy to return it to my library. I'm giving this a 1 out of 5 stars, and I want a book on the actual Frankfurt trials instead. The next book that I'm cutting from the June list was the BFG. You may know this book from the insultingly childish Disney adaptation, but you may also know it because it's a Roald Dahl book, author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach. I'm not going to go into detail as to who this man is, but I will say Dahl isn't an author I have much respect for. He wasn't a prominent name in my childhood, and the only book I remember reading was Charlie. In a way, I have a kind of ironic respect for him in a dark sense. This man was a children's author, but in life many people despised him as he was an extreme bigot, and my dark sense of humor can't help but laugh at that. For that reason, I may do a video on the life and views of Dahl and what made him so loved as an author but hated as a person, if no one has beaten me to it. Also, don't hold me on ever making that fucking video. But before I do that, I need to read his books, and I started with the BFG to clean my palette after getting railed by the picture of Dorian Gray and shot at multiple times in the face by Pet Sematary. I can easily say that my time with this book was pleasant enough. There were times where I thought that I was too fucking old for this, but I can easily see why it's so beloved by children, as the descriptions and extravagance of the book is captivating to a child. This book has a sense of oddness in the dialogue and lore, like Eskimos being called Esquimos and giants eating humans from Chile if they're hot. The BFG also has a trait of having poor grammar, as he taught himself to read and write. So he says sentences like "am I right or left" instead of right or wrong, and honestly it's kind of cute in a way. As an adult listening to this book, I found enough pleasantries in the character of the BFG and the conversations he has with Sophie. The conversations is what carries this book for the young and old, but there's also times where it gets childish, like the fart scenes and the Queen having to call world leaders to confirm giant attacks. Honestly, the most I've laughed when reading this book was when Dahl's bigotry shone through. Apparently, he really doesn't hide it in his works, and damn, there's a part where he really didn't. Overall, the BFG was a fine palate cleanser. I don't recommend it too much. Maybe I will if you hate the movie and want the least insulting version. Overall, the BFG was a fine book to pass time with until I was ready to get into darker works. Check it out if you want, or don't. It's at least a 3 out of 5. Finally, I've been rewatching Dorohedoro now that it's on Netflix, and if you haven't seen this show yet, I recommend it. I already made a video on it. I've been playing Dorohedoro in the background, and I've honestly been having more fun with the show the second time around. Dorohedoro is honestly the kind of show that nears that line of unnecessary edge, but has the energy, comedy, lore, and characters that balance the show out so it earns its self-proclaimed chaos. I enjoy the moments where the story slows down to give characters like Kaiman, Shin, Nori, and Nakai Nikaido more time to be fleshed out and understood, like their backstories or Nikaido getting sick, but I enjoy even more goofy moments like the baseball game, the zombie episode, and the pie showdown. Of course, I've been watching it dubbed because I enjoy dubbed anime over subbed, and Netflix anime dubs tend to be really good for the show they license and holding gay baby gel. I think my favorite performances would have to be Keith Silverstein as En, Sean Chiplock as Shin, and of course Chermi Lei as Nori. Also, Griffin Burns is such a fun Kasukabe. I wasn't expecting here Bryce Papenbrook as Fujita. I've been so fucked up by Attack on Titan and Ladybug, I can only hear him as those characters anymore. And I don't even fucking watch Ladybug in English. I watch it in French to help me practice the language. That's how fucked up I am. But no, he's good. Reba Burr pretty much owns the role as Nikaido, but the real kick in the balls to any VA would be whoever was to voice Kaiman. I don't think Kaiman is as throat destroying as Bakugo, but it's a given that he would be a strain on the vocal cords. I really like the seiyuu they got for Japanese Kaiman, Wataru Takaga. He's the voice of Okuyasu in Part 4 JoJo, and anyone who's seen that part in this show would already know that these two characters have the exact same chaotic energy. For the dub, they went for a new voice actor whose first credit goes back to 2018, Alex Lee, who's the voice of Zensetsu in Demon Slayer and Mario in Part 5 of JoJo, aka that guy who got fucked by the torture dance. And boy, America needs fucking universal healthcare because this guy's vocal cords have been ripped. So yeah, he's a pretty good Kaiman. So if you haven't seen Dorohedoro yet, I definitely recommend it. It's one of the better Netflix animes you could be watching right now, especially if you need something new now that Beasters have been up for over a month. Alright, that's it. I've been talking for way longer than I wanted. I hope that you'll be here to check out some of the other stuff I have planned. Be sure to check out my links and editor Nick's links down below. And that's it. Alright, bye.